Okay, so I've got my tray of water, and again, that is distilled water, but you can use water straight out of the tap in the bathroom or the kitchen. And I've already cut out a few of the decals I'm going to start with. So this one here goes across the hood, and you'll see it's cut out for the emblem that's already there, or the space for the emblem. This one actually goes, well, it probably goes this way on our spoiler wing. This one goes, whoops, this one goes on the hatchback. It's also cut out for the emblem. And I have not cut it out yet, but I also have the long one for the rooftop. And the other thing I have here is my micro set and micro saw. All right, the micro set, you lay that down before you put the decal on top of it. And then micro saw is a little bit stronger, and not so much on this car, but like on my airplanes where I have panel lines that decals need to set into, this will soften them up more, and they fill down into those lines. Or if you've got a raised area that needs to go over, like a rivet, it'll soften it up enough that once it's all dry, it looks like it's been painted on. So, well, I might use a little bit of that in the end, but to start, we're only going to use the micro set. So I'm going to start with the hood decal, and we'll put it in our tray of water. Let it sit there for a few seconds. And while that's in there, I'm going to brush on some of this micro set onto the hood. And look at that, it just kind of beads up because this paint job is so nice. Yeah, so I'm probably going to have to add more once I put the decal on. All right, so a few seconds in the water. Maybe, roughly 30 seconds to a minute maybe. And then off to my right, out of camera, I've got a piece of paper towel. And what I'll do is I'll take it out of the water. Maybe, there we go. And I set it on the paper towel for a moment. And then just to be sure that it's had enough time in the water, in your fingertips, try to nudge it, see if it slides. All right, see it's moving around on the paper, so it's had enough time in the water. And we're gonna lay it down on the hood. All right, now remember, this has got the area for the emblem on the hood, so we have to move it around here a little bit, and that's not hard to do. So get it. All right, there's the front. All right, and we're right in between. All right, those little bumps on the hood, that's actually where your windshield washer fluid would come out. All right, so we've got it on there. Okay, now we're gonna use some more of this setting solution. Micro set. All right, now the front of this little bit of the decal where it goes around the emblem, kind of separated slightly. There we go. And see, I've kind of got a bubble in here. Let me get this thing straight up on the stand again. All right, we kind of got a little air pocket right there. So you want to kind of work your way out from the middle and push out these air bubbles that might be in there. All right, and I can tell it's not wanting to conform to the curvature of the hood. So this is where we're going to add our micro saw. Like I said, it's a little bit stronger, and it'll, in a sense, it kind of melts the decal and allows it to conform to that shape better. And if you watch it, the decal itself may start to shrivel, or not really shrivel up, but kind of wrinkle. And that means it's doing its job. But when it's dry, that wrinkling will all disappear. And you can see it starting to wrinkle a little bit. All right, this one spot right here on the front, that lighter colored stripe, the very tip of it underneath the emblem, it keeps shifting. Okay, so we'll let that one sit, and then I'll work on the next ones. All right, while we're doing decals, we've got these 4 that go in the center of our wheels. They actually give you 8 in case you use the other wheels as well, but we just need 4 of them for this. So we'll put those in the water, and we'll slide them off into the center of each wheel. All right, now our center decals on the wheels are in place on all 4. I did all 4 of them. All right, so the decals are on the car body, and you can see how they're kind of wrinkling. And in fact, this one actually broke on me. You can see the line going right across there. They're very thin. I tried to move it and it split, but I got it pretty well lined up, and I think once everything dries, that crack will disappear. And I did use some of the microsol, the red part, on all of them. All right, that's why, see how this one's very wrinkly, but it's still wet, it's still drying, and as it dries more, that'll all flatten out. Okay, we got on the back here. See, this one's still fairly wet, hasn't dried out much at all, so it's got a lot of big wrinkles in it, but like I said, as it dries, that'll all smooth out. It'll be beautiful. It'll look like it was painted on. And then I did add these 2 stars on the left and right rear. You know, the decal sheet has some other markings that aren't in the instructions. They allow you to use them anywhere you want. And I was gonna use, so I've got the one from here that says Punk Rocks, but it's black print, and I was afraid that that would just kind of disappear on that dark gray color. So I ended up leaving that off. I do still have this one silver star and another one that I've cut out. Haven't decided yet if or where I might use those. I'm debating that. There's not really a good place for them. But the other thing I might do, see here where it says Lust for Life, I may cut that out and eventually put that one in the back window, you know, almost like a window sticker. So we'll see. And then these 2 are for the door sides, and then we've got some here for the mirrors, side mirrors, and actually the rear view mirror gets one. And then these go into these side, I don't know what they are, side markers maybe, but we got to do a little bit of painting on those parts that go in there first. So I think I might still do these 2 door sides yet tonight, and then we'll get back to painting all the little bitty pieces and getting those attached. All right, one of the things we need to do with this kit is create some window masks. And the reason for that is, on a lot of newer automobiles, which the Mini Cooper is newer, around their windows, there's a black trim that's actually on the window itself. And this kit wants you to paint that on there, and they give you these templates to mask off your windshield, your back window, your side glass. And actually, these are for the taillights, but to be honest, I just did those by hand. The glass, well, it's not really glass, obviously, but the plastic is kind of etched with that round oval shape in it. So there's kind of a guideline that you can follow. Now, from what I could feel, it's not raised, so it's somehow in the plastic. Anyway, I just very carefully brushed around it instead of trying to create a mask for those. But I still need to create a mask for these other windows, and I've been thinking about how to do this, and I'm not sure how other guys have done it, but here's my idea. All right, so I sent you some of the smaller masking tape, right? I have some bigger sizes. I think I sent you the small one. I may have sent you this next size up, which would be even better for you. If not, you'll have to use several strips of the thinner. But since I have the wider pieces, I'm actually gonna, all right, and this is just a piece of acrylic plastic. All right, I'm just gonna lay this, uh-oh, that might not have been long enough. All right, a longer one. There we go, that should be long enough. Okay, so I'm gonna lay a few pieces of this on here, and I'm gonna overlap them slightly. All right, and I'm gonna press it down. See how the color changes where it's all pressed down? All right, so it's good and stuck down there on that acrylic. All right, let's get another piece about the same size. And we're gonna overlap this slightly. Let's do about that much. I think that looks good. Okay, again, press it down. And we might need one more just to be safe. Yeah, let's do one more just to be on the safe side. So, and again, overlap. All right, and press it down. Okay, so that's going to end up being our mask. Now the adhesive that it's stuck to the acrylic with, when we peel that off, it'll still be sticky enough to use on our window plastic. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this. All right, now like I said, I don't need these two pieces or this piece on the end. So let me grab some scissors here and we'll just trim that off since I don't really need it now because like I said, I did that part by hand. So we get that out of the way. All right, now we're going to lay this on here. Make sure it's over any tape that we've got laid down. I got that just long enough. All right, now this is clear packing tape. And I'm going to take a piece of this and we're going to lay this over it. All right, and go ahead and press that on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hobby knife with a sharp blade and I'm going to trace around these window shapes. And then when they're free, we can peel up that whole piece and it'll be sticky on the bottom side. We can peel up the whole piece and stick it to our windows where it's supposed to go. Okay, you can see I've cut out what was on top and I've actually cut through. So those are our masks. And before I peel them off, I'm going to show you the windows. So hopefully you can see. All right, this is our windshield and you see the line. All right, this mask is going to cover the windshield so that we can paint this outside area. And then these square side windows, you can see again where the mask will cover that up, and then the rear glass as well. So that's what we're trying to make, is those masks. So moment of truth. Hopefully I got these cut all the way through. Let's see. There we go. Get a corner of it off. All right. Now we can peel that whole thing off and lay it across our windshield. Okay. And I'll use the notch at the top of the windshield where the rear view mirror goes to help line us up. Alright, that's pretty darn close. Close enough for government work, if you ask me. Maybe just a little edge there, but I think that's going to work. Alright, so I'll pull the rest out and then we'll paint on the inside. There we are. The windows are masked. The masking is on the inside, and that's where we're going to lay the paint, is on the inside. This rear window glass fell out when I was working on it, so we still got to cut away all the little tabs left over from the molding process and give them a quick sand around all the edges. But we can actually paint it first, I do believe, because yeah, all these tabs are on the edge of the glass, so painting the flat surface shouldn't be an issue, and then we can sand those areas where those little tabs are. All right, I got a little bit of cleanup to do where I did the masking tape, which shouldn't be too difficult to remove. I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to cut it at an angle to make kind of like a little wedge, and we can scrape it off without leaving any marks on the plastic glass, and then maybe clean it up with a wet Q-tip just to wipe off any dry paint chips. Well, I thought I had recorded a little bit more after the window painting part of this, but apparently I either didn't record where I thought I had, or I've somehow lost it. So anyway, let me show you how it ended up. All right. So here it is. Not quite as good as I had hoped that it would turn out, but I'm happy with it. You know, I would have done things a lot differently had I been using all my available tools. You know, but this was a basic build with basic tools, because that's what I had purchased for my grandson to build his. You know, I knew that he wasn't going to have an airbrush, and he wouldn't have some of the glues that I would be using, and so, you know, I kept it very basic. I can tell you that 8-year-old me would have been ecstatic to have one turn out like this. 54-year-old me isn't quite as pleased with my final output, but you know, it is pretty nice. Some of the issues I had, all right, on the headlights, you can see, I think it'll show up. So the little metallic piece that was supposed to be attached to the interior portion of the lens, right on that inner side there. So the left one is nice and shiny. The one on the right side here has a little bit of a cloudy look to it. And the reason for that is I tried to follow directions when I first applied it, and they tell you to stick it to the inside of the lens. Well, when you do that, the adhesive that's on there is visible through the lens. So after that, I peeled it off and I stuck it, you know, to the inside. But on this side, I actually stuck it to the inside piece first, so I don't have that that adhesive on the glass. So that was one thing that the instructions actually kind of led me down the wrong path of doing that. I don't know why they have you do it that way. I mean, after reading it, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense because you got the adhesive on this side, and you want that to be a shiny, reflective surface. So there's that. Painting the windows, they didn't turn out too bad. You know, obviously I would have probably preferred using the airbrush on them. And as it is, you really can't see the brush strokes from this side, which turned out well. Right now I'm seeing a little bit of a whiteness around the edge. I'm not sure what that comes from. Perhaps maybe the glue that I used to stick the windows in, but it was just a tube glue, so that shouldn't have done that. That's another thing that disappointed me about this is the window installation. So the windshield and the two windows on each side are all one piece, so it's one horseshoe shaped. And the front glass fits in there just right. This, what would that be? The B and P pillar, B and C pillar. The windows should fit. There's like a notch that these pillars would fit into so that the glass is flush. Well, it didn't fit. You can see it's not in the right place, and it's like that on both sides. Even though the windshield is in as far as it's supposed to go, the side glass is not as far forward as it should be, really. And I couldn't get it to go any further. And even looking here, there's a bit of a gap. What I would do different if I were to build this again, I would separate these side windows from the front windshield and remove some of that material so that I can slide those forward more so that they fit that pillar properly like they should. I did get in a little bit of a rush toward the end with assembling this. I didn't even show me really gluing in the headlights and the grille pieces or these side pieces, these side accents, or the door handles or the tail lights. I didn't really film any of that. It's pretty self-explanatory. There wasn't really anything to show. I mean, the headlight buckets just fit right into the slot, and then, you know, oops, sorry, bumped the camera. And I just, used a little bit of the tube glue on a toothpick around the edge of the opening and then pushed the glass in. And, that wasn't as clean as I probably could have gotten those. The grill pieces all went in just fine. These side pieces, these side accents, they didn't fit as well as I thought they should. The trailing edge on this is actually raised where I believe from the instructions it should really sit more flush. I don't know if you can really see it from these angles, but it doesn't sit quite as flush as I thought it should. They're not bad, but I don't think it's right. One thing I thought was really cool about this, so the mini emblem on the rear and the one on the hood, you had a couple options. You could use a decal, a decal. Now on the hood and on the tailgate, there's actually the shape of the emblem is actually raised from the surface. So you could put a decal on there, or you could use these metal, they're not really photo etch, but they are little metal stickers really, but they're two parts, and then they actually use a circular black decal in between. So you've got the winged portion with a round center, and you put the black decal on that, and then you've got just the round center that says mini that goes over that, so that you get that look of the actual badge. And I thought that worked out really good. I like the way that looks. As far as decals go, they're not bad. The side ones went on good. The hood went on pretty good. Right here in the front, I had to mess with it a little bit. This gap line between the darker gray and the lighter gray isn't equal to each side. I think it tore a little bit because there was an opening for the badge, and I think it tore right there, and it wouldn't lay right. And then on the top, I don't know why, but I got those bad wrinkles in there, and I could not get them out. I used my micro set. In fact, this one cracked. It was two pieces. So I pushed it as close together as I could. Whoa. Ooh. I forgot that's not attached on there. I can't lean it too far forward. Anyway, so I pushed it together as well as I could to minimize whatever gap might be there. And it's that part of it's almost invisible, but then I got all these other wrinkles that just would not come out. And I don't think it's an off-gassing issue because I had actually put this thing in the dehydrator. So there shouldn't have been any off-gassing. And then I put, a few different coats of the microsol on there to try to get them to level out, and they just wouldn't. Everything else turned out pretty good, though. The tail lights, they go, all right, so the chrome surround and the lights themselves go on from the inside and get glued in from the inside, but the red lens goes on the outside, and it's not a real positive fit. So I had to very carefully put glue, on the inside edge of the chrome part, and then press them on there with my finger and hope that I had them in the right position. So there's a little bit of a glue smudge visible around them. You got to look pretty close, but it is there. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. This decal on the side, there's some kind of a bubbling in there. And then also this, the all four badging here, that's also a metal piece. And then the 4 is actually a red decal that goes on there. As well as the Cooper S here on the rear. There's actually a red S that's on top of that metal. So, I don't know. I think it turned out pretty well. Like I said, if I had the ability to use all of my tools, I think I would have come up with a little bit better finish on it. It does have one coat of Tamiya Clear, the TS13, I think it is. But it is not buffed or polished, none of that. So it's just basic. And I did take it to Anniston with me, put it in the basic kit build category, but it didn't stand a chance next to some of the others that were there. There were a couple of F1 cars there that were just gorgeous. I mean, it was hard to believe even that they were out of the box builds, but they were gorgeous. So they were well deserving of the awards they got. I mainly I wanted to take it there. That's why I kind of rushed at the end getting it put together. But it all fits. All 4 wheels are touching the floor. When I put the body on the chassis, the driver's seat actually popped loose, and I wasn't about to take it off again just to get that seat in there. So the driver's seat isn't exactly in position, but you can't really tell. And I would love to show you progress on my grandson's car, but I have a feeling he hasn't even started his yet. I think he felt a little overwhelmed seeing all the small parts. He and his dad do a lot of Lego building, so I really didn't think that the small parts of this would be that big a deal for him. But I just, maybe he's just not quite ready yet. Maybe another year goes by and he sees it again and thinks, well, maybe I should try this. So there's still hope. I didn't know if he would enjoy it or not, so I don't feel like I've lost anything by sending that to him. And, like I said, hopefully down the road, maybe he'll look at it again and go, maybe this is something I kind of want to do. Or even his little brother, when he gets a little older, maybe he'll pick it up and want to do it. But, I think you have to expose the younger generation to it. And if they're not exposed to it, they can't have an interest in it. So you have to expose it to them somehow. And that was my effort. So, but thanks everybody for tuning in and following along. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I do like it. I'm a little disappointed in a few things, but 8-year-old TJ really likes it. That is the best finish that he's ever done. So, take it easy, y'all. Peace and love.